All right, all right. We are live in Lakesh Veritas, LaOta.
In LaOta and Tarvars.
So we gave the people what they wanted. We want you together. We want you together in the same screen. In the same screen. Well, here we are, side by side on the same screen. So welcome, welcome everyone. We'll give people a moment to roll into the live stream here. Okay, I see us. We're live.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, I
yes,
see us
yes.
on YouTube squared. Okay. Okay, there we go. I'm seeing the information populate now. I can see the comments. Beautiful, beautiful. Welcome everyone. Look at Veritas of the Sun live stream. And we're gonna be talking about psychic infiltration,
Yes.
psychic espionage. Not quite, but really this idea of how there are so many things in our reality that is attempting to seed and plant thought forms and ideas to essentially usurp our will. And we're going to be exploring that in a myriad of different ways. And before we jump into that, just a few announcements. We are in the middle of light body movement. Third Sunday, we're going to be going deeper into the solar plexus. Fourth Sunday, LaOta has her monthly self healing talk, Water 22.
It's raining all over the world.
Everywhere, everywhere. It's wild. Jersey, New York. You showed me a video the other day. Subway is flooded.
North
People in the
Carolina.
subway like filming, like look at the water coming. Like, whoa, that's crazy, man. We're gonna die in here. Like,
Oh,
make sure I upload this.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's wild stuff, and it definitely looks abnormal. Like this is not the natural, and I can see more and more of everyday people starting to catch on.
Yes.
Yeah,
I agree.
cool. So, also in other news, we are wrapping up our sun calibration class with Levels of the Sun. This is discernment using your body's intelligence to navigate. And this is a reoccurring class. It's so important that people understand how to choose, how to discern truth from falsehood, what's in your best and highest interest, what's not, especially in a world where things are becoming more and more challenging to discern what's real. I know we live in a plastic world, but now with the AI in the equation and the deep fakes, and you got people in their basements just able to make videos that look almost real. It's going to be important that we're able to discern, but even more so as the deconstruction continues on the planet, being able to make choices within the moment of what's necessary for you, for your family. It's a lot with it, but again, we're equipped. We have the inner GPS to do so. It's just a matter of getting an instruction manual, and we just so happen to be able to put the pieces together in the Akasha and create a manual for you to reconnect with your body's intelligence. So this is a reoccurring class. So this class is often offered throughout the year, and we're also looking to make these classes, some of our core curriculum classes, just readily available for download, where you don't have to join live. You can get in where you fit in, watch it at your leisure. So stay tuned for that. And then we also have the Akashic Record class. This is taught with me, and it's very different. It's very different. And I want to begin by saying it's an honor to be able to share Avisan's methodology of tapping into the Akasha, because we teach it from this perspective that you are not separate from the field. You are the Akasha. The very idea of you being the elements, ether, Akasha, I mean, that's you.
That's right.
And if we can really remove the separation between ourselves and this idea of the Akasha, we can see that we've been tapping into it in varying levels of degrees and not even knowing it. And it's a matter of vibrationally adhering to the field. And you can intensify your adherence, which would expand the information that becomes available to you. And so it's an awesome class, and being able to see the light bulbs go off, and uh, we're not even done yet, but there's so many great reviews that are happening live in the class. So we're looking to, this is one of our larger advanced classes. We're looking to hold this class again. So stay tuned for the next time we hold this. And also, if you're interested in the Akashic record readings, we do that as well. You know, we can look into the field of the Akasha, identify what's going on, you know, things that you want insight regarding. But the cool thing is that we're not just going to leave you with some fluffy information. We're going to give you some practical, applicable actions to take after you get that information, because that's the thing that I notice with a lot of people who read the records, or just readings in general.
Yes.
Like, they'll give you information about yourself, or they'll tell you all these things about your past lives, but okay, what do you do with that?
Yes.
Where are you going with that? How does that change right now? You got bills to pay, you got children to feed, you got AI out here, you got government, deep state, World Economic Forum, you got stuff going on.
Right.
How does that apply to now, and how can the tips be actionable? And so the way how we do our readings is full circle, making sure that it hits every level: spirit, mental, emotional, and physical. So you can anchor that in. Uh, and so yeah. So it's on the website, on the Other Sun homepage under services, the service tab. And we got a couple more people rolling into the live stream. Welcome, welcome. Stacy and Lakesh, Stephanie and Lakesh, Kay and Lakesh, Mario and Lakesh. Welcome, everybody. So we're talking about psychic infiltration. That's pretty much our announcements right there. We'll make sure that there's some links in the description regarding these classes. But I'm here with LaOta today, and really want to get into this idea about psychic infiltration. And as I mentioned, we are essentially, because we don't fully know who and what we are, and there are people out there who understand how we function. That is, our ignorance is being used against us.
Absolutely. We are being studied, or
Yeah.
have been studied. Yes.
Yeah. So, hold on just a moment, you all. Alrighty. And we're back. Uh, so I guess where I would like to start is just simply asking, regarding thoughts, how do we know what's our thought, what's something that's implanted in us? Just getting straight into it. If how can we discern, like, what's an original thought? You know?
This is so important, and it speaks to the things you had in the announcements. Everything that I'm about to say applies to calibration class, it applies to the Akashic classes, it applies to your safety in the future, it applies to your relationship with the rain and the water and all of the other Platonic solids. We were established in truth. Our bodies are creation. We are organic humans established through divinity. Our organs, our cells, all of our structure is in harmony with universal law. Universal law allows for more than what we understand. It is not necessary that we be in a certain place. It is not necessary that we be within a certain distance of people hearing a certain place on the planet, a location in your living room. The way that we are all organically oriented is that we are all one, and it crosses species and it crosses nature. So we know that we can speak to the birds and the trees and the ants and the dragonflies. We know that we can do that in any part of the globe and beyond. that we don't have to just, we can talk to those who are on the moon and those who are on Mars. All of that is part of the package. So once we have that clarity, then the whole world opens up for you, because you're shut down to the fraction of 1% of understanding if you know what's been taught in the third dimension. And we have moved, by the way, from the third dimension to the fourth dimension. We are in transit now. But the reality and the fact is that universal law governs all things, and our organs, our cells, our atoms are informed by universal law unless we, through our limitation, stop that communication, that understanding. So we heal people all over the world. We clear properties all over the world. We talk to people who are off planet and interdimensionally, and you can too. So in terms of infiltration, once you have that basic understanding, it's important to have that in place, then you can begin to discipline yourself to pay attention to what, be the observer of what is being thought. And I know that you're a student of that. Yes.
Has to be.
Observe what is coming into your mind and know who you are. Are you thinking that obscene thought, or is that not your thought? Is that someone else's obscene thought entering into your, and you can say, get out of here. I have not adequately protected myself to make sure that you didn't get in. So let me raise my frequency, because my frequency doesn't resonate with obscenity. It doesn't resonate with threats. It doesn't resonate with someone trying to aggress me, because my frequency is so high, it protects me. Let me take this as an opportunity to raise my frequency so that I may then protect myself against the other ones who are part of the oneness that may have something in mind for me that I don't want, which they are automatically excluded from my mental landscape if my frequency is above theirs. So I've answered the problem.
Yeah, you gave us a gem early out the gate. All right, so.
And the solution. And the process. But we can talk about it more succinctly.
12 minutes in. Is this podcast over? Okay. No, okay, let's go a little deeper. Okay, so let's back this up. You have first off, I was trying to hold my laughter in when you were speaking about the packaging, and in my mind I'm like, ooh, the deluxe. We're really this deluxe packaging, but we don't even we could barely fathom.
We're very comfortable in
this
our
reality.
limitation. We're very comfortable thinking we need a cell phone to talk to people. We're very comfortable thinking I can't know what somebody in another country is thinking. I cannot affect their safety. We're very comfortable with this level of limitation, but it's just not the truth. We're lying to ourselves.
Yeah, and this is the wild thing. The thing that I was mentioning earlier is that it is this comfortability in the ignorance or denial of this truth that is weaponized against us.
Absolutely.
Not recognizing that our thoughts hold power, whether we know it or not, or our passivity of the lack of monitoring and being astute, which I love the example that you shared of, you're maybe doing the dishes and you get this crazy thought like, what the? That's not me. But in order for a person to do that, it does require them to regularly be in that space of awareness.
And it requires discipline, because we have not been taught to monitor. We're so busy watching television and listening to the radio and never being silent. We don't even know. We're so accustomed to everyone else's series telling us stuff. People on advertising, the television's telling us whatever it's telling us. We have not identified what is our voice.
So this is so important, because all the different sounds, it's static. I look at us as transmitters and receivers. We're broadcasting, we're pulling in information, and look, sometimes our bandwidth is just system overload in terms of the processing, where it's like, if you are processing playing music, you got YouTube going, you got people in the background having conversations, your thoughts are rolling in of what you're focused on. You still focus about work or what happened yesterday with your family, and all of that is cluttering the airwaves where we can't even truly be receptive to what could potentially be coming in. I would say from our guidance, one,
Yes.
in which that kind of leads us into another direction. But I have been led in the last several months to be in silence more. And I'm talking like not even play music. Like sometimes I would play tones, I would play very nice, soft instrumental music. And it's not that I don't anymore, but it's far and few in between when I play it because the richness of the silence allows me to be with myself. It allows me to understand really what's happening internally, which that time and duration spent in the silence as much as I can, it has allowed me to recognize what is mine and what isn't.
I'd like to speak to something you said. One of the first ways, and this happened with me many decades ago, I started to pay attention to what the music was saying.
Ah,
And I started to realize that the music kept leading me to someone else, and life not being good without someone else, and that you had to have someone else to be satisfied. You must have other people. You must be involved in this romance, or the sun won't shine, or the world's over. And when I recognized that, I stopped listening to it. I stopped listening to words with music, music with words.
yeah,
Music with words, because I recognized they were brainwashing me.
yeah,
And I'm not a person who can be in accord on a continuous basis to that which I have already determined is not for me. So when I recognized it, I realized everybody was being brainwashed through the music, and then it was easy to see the connection through the television.
mm,
Then so I stopped having a television. So I don't have a television, haven't had one for decades. Not listening to love songs because, the idea that you gonna love me anyway doesn't interest me. Like, no. Like, no, if you don't want to love me, I'm good. We're okay.
yeah.
I'm not going to
Yeah.
be the person that's holding onto your leg and you're dragging them to the door while you're trying to
That's
leave.
that's what little children do. No
So
offense to the little
that's
babies.
what grown people do
Yeah.
too. You
Now,
may not know that yet.
oh no, I've had to peel some legs off. You've had to peel some people off. Get off of Tavares. See, look what you done did.
So that encouragement of keeping us always connected to the lower chakras, to below the waist, to that all of our value is connected to how we look and sexual drive, that became very obvious to me early on, and I became aware of it and made a decision. No, that is not what life is about. That is not enough. That is keeping you distracted always from your elevation, your greatness, and your divinity. How is it that that keeps you elevated? How is it that you must have someone or you feel like you're incomplete? You came here alone.
Well, that sounds like infiltration to me. Sounds like a
That's my
thought
point.
that has been implanted, and we over here acting it out on the planet, dancing about it, singing about it.
With somebody's hand right up our backs,
Yeah,
you
don't
know.
even know it.
We don't know it. And we don't know it's not our thought because we think we believe everything and we think, I gotta have somebody. If I don't have somebody, I don't have any value. But that's not the truth.
Yeah,
And when we play into it, we lose.
it
We
was.
lose our divinity when we make someone else the God of us. Make yourself the God of you. Make yourself the divine inspiration. Let yourself lead the way, and then let those who are a frequency match, who are in accord with that, join on to you. Don't be afraid to be alone, because while you develop yourself, you need a little bit of alone time to pay attention to who you are,
That
to
part.
separate you from the music and the television.
See, and that right there, there's just so much. You mentioned earlier, outside of the podcast live stream, that uh, everything in our reality has been systematically designed to keep us away from our freedom and from our sovereignty. And from the moment we're born, we are informed and implanted with thoughts and constructs culturally, socially, that it's literally a hijacking from the start.
Yes.
And we are all going through this type of deconditioning process. But again, like you said, that being in the silence, being by yourself alone is such a good thing. It is not a negative thing. I can see that in my past experiences and also what I've observed from others, the idea of being alone that they have associated with lonely only happens when those programs are dominant. And
Yes.
there's that pull of I'm like you said, I have no value unless I have someone next to me or doing something with me. And this what's up with this idea of not being able to be with yourself? What can we talk a little bit about that or
Yeah, I
exploring?
mean, it's just so discouraged in our world. It's very discouraged to have a independent thought, to have a thought that's not agreed with and shared by everyone. Like you have the thought, I don't want to eat this thing that's processed. And then everybody's like, your grandmother ate processed food. She's doing fine.
That's because grandma got a different constitution. I always tell LaOta they don't make them like they used to. We fragile out here. That's why I go on liquid diets and fasts because I know we fragile.
Well, just think about the history. I'm not saying history is correct because it is
Yeah.
most certainly not.
Yeah.
And it is rewritten every day to match whatever the direction is. But when we do think about the idea of like knights wearing armor
Yeah.
and then carrying poles or axes, who is capable of that? Who do you know who's capable of having that physical
It's hard out here, LaOta. It's hard out here.
experience? Like, we're lucky we could put on our soccer shorts and carry the ball,
Oh,
and run up and down the field. So we know that the physicality is different,
mhm.
and that the food has everything to do with it. Our constitutions and our own expectations has everything to do with it. So all of these things have to do with our mental processes. So if we think holding the gun like this and being a gangster, if we think that's all that is, then we might need to look through some of the historical content of what people had to do.
I gotta ask something. Is there anybody on the line who own a weapon who's
Doing
what
something
like
like
I would like to think that those people who are attracted to that behavior are not here. But if that's you, take heed. I want to pivot a little bit um, and speak about mental hygiene. We talk about energy hygiene, and energy hygiene is a broad spectrum idea,
Yes.
and it influences the mind, the emotions, and the physical. But would you speak a little bit about how we can engage with mental hygiene in order to really protect ourselves from the bombardment of infiltration that's coming from the different many sources?
So, because of the condition we find ourselves in, which is like this, the herders have spent thousands of years to get us to the point where we are now. This didn't happen since you've been born in the last decades. It has been thousands of years in the making. So, we do not understand the power that we possess and why even somebody wants to hurt us. I mean, if we would just even think about that, why is it that
That's me.
we are so valuable to those who are orchestrating trying to kill us? Why are we
Because
so
we the deluxe package. That's why you said it earlier.
yeah,
You are the deluxe package. They want what you got.
right?
There's something awesome about us.
And so since that has been what we've been made to think that it's of short duration between 25 and 45 years old, and that it has to look a certain way. None of that is true. None of the age related things, none of the wealth related things, none of those things are accurate. And until we clean up our own thoughts about who and what we are and recognize that there's levels of divinity and sacredness, it's not just that the Indians have sacred graveyards. The Indians are sacred and so are we. It's not just that the Aboriginal people are sacred in Australia. We come from that same blueprint. We are sacred too. And we get the concept, we just don't apply it to self. But the sacredness requires us to be clean. Cleanliness is a virtue. And that's clean in thought. So we don't have thoughts. Well, I often hear people say, well, I don't feel like I'm worthy, or I don't feel like I deserve it, or I don't have high self esteem, or all of these things. These are the things that must be addressed, because those are, even though they may have been impressed upon you from those who had it impressed upon them, which is usually the case, where for generations, 6 generations of grandmothers have been told they're nothing. And so it automatically is in the DNA, and it automatically comes out in one way or another, whether it's in the language or the actions or the example of the life they're living.
Mm-hmm.
So that comes out. So we have that inside of us. We have that lack of being sacred, our lack of divinity inside of us. And that is what must be scrubbed clean. Because until we do that, darkness and dark thoughts can get in through the cracks, because we don't believe that we're anything. So when somebody comes up and says you are nothing, it slides right into that space. And then you're hearing like you nothing inside your own head. And you're thinking it's your voice, but it's not your voice. It is the insidious anti-life aspect of our world that is looking for a frequency match. So it's not that those things haven't come to me, but they have no purchase. They have no foothold. It's like, get out of here. You don't know who you're talking to. You're in the wrong house,
I want to chime
on
in
the
on
wrong
this.
block, in the
So
wrong town.
I've heard LaOta say this to many of her clients when they get a thought, a negative thought like this. She says, I want you to speak to that thought and tell it, you're a liar. Like, turn up on it, turn up
Yeah.
at a higher intensity. But as you were speaking on this, I was thinking of how important it is for the deconstruction to take place, because I could see how the cultural and social norms that we've adopted or adapted to and kind of inherited and been born into, they are not sacred. There's nothing sacred about it. And again, our reference point for sacred is something or someone's external that we don't even feel a connection to, such
Yeah.
as indigenous, when we are indigenous to the freaking planet.
We need to stop trying to stop the deconstruction. We need to stop trying to put out the fire. We need to stop trying to um, get a group and kumbaya this out of existence,
In order to keep the status quo.
in order to stay in the level and degrees of suffering that you and everyone that you know and everyone in your family and everybody who's going to be born from you are going to have if it continues. We need to get on board with, let me be in touch with where I need to be and what time I need to be there, and have at it.
Mm.
Like the air, the earth, the water, and the fire are being manipulated, but everything serves the greater divine plan. Everything serves the greater divine plan. So when the trees decide that the people who are in the forest have done enough atrocities within the forest, and the trees decide that they will remove their oxygen by allowing themselves to be burned up, allow it. Let that happen so that we can purify whatever whatever there is to be purified, so that then we can start over and create a world where truth and integrity and virtue and the truth of our beingness exists. It cannot exist on top of this garbage pile.
I agree.
It cannot.
Because
We
all of
really,
that's just gonna
yes.
seep up to the surface,
And
as
it's the
it
same
does.
way, and it's the same way if we have unexamined thoughts. We live an unexamined life, then we don't use the thought hygiene to clean away that which does not support our divinity, our greatness, and our sacredness. Then you're going to meet with something that wants to do you,
Yeah.
something that wants to end you. You're going to meet with thoughts in your own head. You become the saboteur. You are the instrument of the darkness, because it enters into you, because you don't have the congruency to uphold it, because there's not enough cleanliness in your hygiene. And if you keep listening to the love songs that have become so comfortable for you, if you keep watching the Netflix that are all horrifying and negative, then you are in the mode of the world that is being removed. So stop eating those burritos, those microwave burritos, stop
Burrito.
eating that processed food, stop microwaving your food, stop filling yourself with empty things, fill yourself up with the truth. This should make you feel glorious. Like, ooh, they're talking about me. I have I've actually had nature do that. I was one time, I don't know if you were there, but I was at one time teaching people how to talk to flowers, and we were in the room, and I was talking about what we were going to do when the cameras came on, and I heard the flowers say, "They're talking about us."
LaOta, I don't know if you know this, but I'm always there. I remember that. I remember that it was a white bouquet of flowers. And the flowers were shocked. They were like, "What?
Humans?
These humans? They not us, is it?"
They're about to
Yeah.
have a class about us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, we are never alone. Everything is conscious. If you feel lonely, go outside and listen to the birds.
Yeah. I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah.
You start opening up, everybody's there. And it's
Yeah.
just that we're not in. This is what I have seen. I've seen like all eyes are on you. And you're the one who's not engaged.
Yes. Everything is waiting for you. Everything is watching you. Everything is aware of you. Although not surprised that you don't answer. When I first met you, Tarvars, you were talking to the clouds.
Yes.
And you're like, LaOta, I'm talking to the clouds. I'm like, good.
I didn't know who to speak to about that because I'm like, this is wow, they're moving for me. Like, and I'm oh my gosh, I'm having these experiences. They're speaking back, and
so he told me, and I'm like, yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's a very calm response. And yeah,
and now you talk to the storms, the raindrops,
everything,
the trees, the birds, and we all can too, because we are all made from Creator. We are all part of the same fractal experience. We are all one. It is extremely important in this time of deconstruction that we get it, that we get that we are all one, and you don't have to be tied to the love songs that tell you if your boyfriend or girlfriend doesn't like you, your life is over. It might be good if they don't like you, so you could be new.
That part. I want to go a little bit into this idea of finding value for self as it relates to. Just a second. All these alarms to my alarm. That's because I kept hitting the snooze. I didn't actually stop it. I'd like us to, there's so many different things that I'd like us to explore. We keep speaking about or touching on this idea of being alone and purification and being with yourself, and this idea of cultivating value for self, which I think that also translates into having a level of value for what you allow to enter into your mental space, what you watch, what you listen to, conversations that we entertain with people. Do we just allow and permit everyone to dump and say whatever on us, or are we halting them and not allowing? You can't pass go with that in my house or on my phone. But before we dive into it, I'd like to give a little attention and acknowledgement to the chat and the live stream.
Yes.
Again, in Location Veritas, everyone who's joining, it's a robust group. The chat is lit up. You all are doing the most in the chat, and it's happening so fast. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not keeping up. But I want to thank you all for joining us in our live stream conversation. I know there were several people commenting, we want to see you all together. And I'm like, here we are. We're in the same room. And so today we're talking about psychic infiltration and protecting the mental space of our minds. And one of the other things I want to actually ask you after I go through these comments and acknowledge our viewers today is different techniques that we can use, and speak a little bit about the classes that we have to equip people. Because one of the major things, and this is what I love about Of the Sun, and why I'm still here today, because you have always directed me back to myself.
Yes.
You're like, T, what do you think? What's in that mind of yours? Why did that happen? What is in you? Where's your power? Or why did you allow and permit that? You the one feeling the way you feel. So it's always this, it's your world, squirrel. And I'm joking, but I'm so serious. And I don't often see that in, I see charlatans. I see people who will tell their clients what they want to hear, stroking their ego instead of giving them the raw truth and help direct them back to themselves and how they can find their power. So if we could explore that after we jump in
Yeah,
the chat.
absolutely.
All right, so what's up, everybody? You're just gonna do a shout out and roll call for you guys. We see Russ is in the building, Julianne, again Mario, giving some great responses. Light Body, was there a class this past weekend? It's Sunday, so we'll see you there. And for those who are joining, every first, second, third, and fourth Sunday, $45 a month, you can join these hour-and-a-half sessions of the light body movement, where as a collective, we are cultivating our light bodies in a practical way. Because what? You're the deluxe package. You're light squared. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. We got Gina in the house in Lakesh and Veritas. Why not? I saw you blowing up the chat saying fulfillment of self. You were still feeling like strings were attached to something, music, zero attachments unless I choose. We got Sadell, Grand Rising, beautiful people, Grand Rising, Elijah, peace, love, light, wisdom, wealth, prosperity, sending all the frequencies.
Yay.
All the frequencies, Elijah.
All of them. Thank you. And we send them back to you. Yeah.
Yes. Elijah says, thank you. This is the most honest live stream on the internet. Damn. Yeah. Can we marinate on that? Appreciate that.
Well,
Elijah.
I mean, we're saying things that people are not going to like in the conscious community. Yeah. We're saying you're responsible. You are the responsible party in your existence. That's very controversial.
Light to a vampire.
Yeah, amongst people who would like to feel like their crystals are the ones in charge.
Yeah, where my amethyst at? Where my rocks at? Help me manifest.
Yeah, no, there is that.
All right. No offense. Yeah, look, we like stones and crystals, but again, as I was saying, it's we who give them power. I'm telling you, we direct you back to you. So anyway, I'm gonna keep going through the comments. What else do we have here? So you all are having a full blown conversation in the chat. So I'm just gonna hold off on some of that. I'm just gonna hold off, and I'm just gonna give you all acknowledgement. Malia, Lauren is here. Who else do we have in the live chat? Shauna. Mario keep commenting. Mario's like, look, man, I'm here. Honor, respect, and gratitude to you, Mario. All right. Yeah, we're just gonna fall back because it's just so much going on in the chat, and I cannot keep up.
But this wonderful. Is good. So glad you find each other. So glad you connect. There is no alone. Alone, in the word alone is the word one. In the word alone is turn on. You're on. Like this is your. Alone is not what we think it is. It is all one. It is not alone. You know, when we embrace this idea that we now have our attention on the all one, which is us, we are, when people say, I am that I am, there's a kind of a misunderstanding. What that actually means is that I am the tree. I am the rose. I am the flower. I am the ant. I am the dragonfly. I am the bee. People don't understand it that way.
That's a very different, nuanced understanding than how it's delivered.
So when we look at the word alone, look at the word. It's like all one.
Ooh.
Oh, I am all one.
They hit us with that word magic.
The whole world is magic. She's and the words make it.
I feel like you're like, what do you expect? This is what I do. All right, so there's a couple of different things. I'm actually catching some things that are worth speaking on. Malia said, what did she say? Exactly, it's all about the divine plan. God placed no one on this earth to suffer, but humanity must do the work to create the utopia Earth was meant to be.
That's right. That oh, yes. Thank you. I got something to say about that.
So
but I'll wait.
Go ahead. Speak your piece. Go ahead. Go ahead. Like, well, I'll say it right after this brief message.
Go
Do
right
you or
ahead.
someone that you know require an advanced soul clearing? Are you suffering from entity attachment? All right, we're back. So, what did you want to say about suffering?
Is that suffering? There are no. Have you met yet a suffering squirrel? Have you yet met a palm tree that's suffering? Have you met an ant that's suffering? The nature is not in suffering in the way that humans self-impose suffering. They know life is to live. They know that so that they can evolve and obtain greater. All of this clutching your crosses so you can remember to suffer, that's not the way.
You
That's
know,
not the way.
it's I even hear it in other spiritual teachings that are not exclusive to Christianity. Like in the East, they acknowledge suffering it's almost praise. It's like all there is suffering, and I'm like, dude, that's because we doing it the wrong way.
It
It
does
doesn't have
not
to be
make
that
you,
way.
because you can be destroyed and pieced apart by the negative fractions in our world, does not make you virtuous. It does not make you virtuous to suffer. It makes you virtuous to not suffer. We have been taught everything
It's
backwards.
flipped, yeah.
Be happy. Find a place where you can be happy. If you need to go sit on the grass to be happy and talk to the grass, do that. If that makes you happy, if that will give you, Mother Earth will push up through your bottom enough goodness, enough power, and enough strength for you to feel who you really are. You know, we are just full of things that are not for us, full of things that do not match our frequency, full of things that are bringing us to a level of self hate. We do need to connect with nature. You are encouraged to ground without your rubber plastic shoes on. You're encouraged to walk on the earth or walk on cement or walk on real wood. You're encouraged to feel the pulse of the mother. That is not the pulse of suffering in its original intent, although everything that could be done to make her suffer has taken place. But I want you to know she's growing in strength. She's growing her light body. She's throwing off the parasites that walk her back, and it's about to happen in a very real way. So even though she may have endured it, it was not the original blueprint. It was not the design for Mother Earth or for us, although we have certainly embraced suffering. It is not virtuous.
Yeah. So I just to speak a little bit about the suffering thing, I see that humans are in a space where we have collectively and socially chosen that's the way we're going to learn things. But I have, with my guidance, seeing that, there's other ways. There's more than one way to get a lesson.
Yes.
And some of it does require, and this is going back full circle to mental hygiene or the psychic infiltration. Again, for those who are joining us, this conversation, the highlight topic is psychic infiltration and the idea of mental hygiene and how our minds have been hijacked. So even this idea of suffering and praising this idea of suffering, it is not in line with divinity. It's not in line with the
No,
original, the
no,
template of blueprint. It
it
is a
does not.
distortion. And so this idea of, actually, let's take it back. I don't want to go on too long. I want to bring it back to what I wanted to ask you earlier. We have classes, we have services, we have things to help people tap into a space where they can do this for themselves. Would you speak a little bit on a few different techniques, and I'll end up sharing some classes that we have?
The very first thing is to know that we have been oriented and cultivated in a lie. Once we get that, the Kardashians and YouTube and television and the music is really a lie that has been marketed on this planet to make us weak and ineffective, to steal our power and gain control over us. That's the first thing that must happen. There must be this clarity that all the things you think you're moving towards are all the things that they want you moving towards. And then you have to think, Do they have my best interest at heart? How's it working out for the ones that I see? They go into jail, they getting arrested. How's it working out for them? It has run its course. The movie that we have been shown has run its course, and we're starting to see all the fractures.
Yeah.
So we may want to reconsider. It is not that we should not have wealth. We are entitled to the abundance and the wealth and the uh, experience of this planet and any others that we can achieve that. So it is not about that, but it is about the lack of integrity. It is about not being able to keep our word. How is it that you can even gain wealth if you can't keep your own word to yourself? If you say, I'm going to drink 8 glasses of water and you can't do that. If you know, how are you going to pay a bill?
Call them out.
How is it that if you can't hold the thought for more than 5 seconds and you're all over the place in the conversation, that you are going to be able to stabilize yourself? So it begins with recognizing I have been oriented in my own destruction. I must take back my power. I have decided that I shall, and I will decide how quickly, what ways I will do it, whether I will make sure that when I speak to people, I speak to them in a dignified and gracious way, or whether I choose not to eat a certain thing. It's up to you. But every step you take will be supported by many, many, many other steps for those of us who are here for the purpose of making sure that humanity makes it. And that is, in fact, what Of the Sun is. We have been devoted to that experience, period, the end, always. So you can then join on to that in your own personal all oneness, aloneness. I want to mention, too, that frequency can be calibrated, consciousness can be identified. And it's scientifically proven that the consciousness of shame is at the lowest frequency that's possible. Before death is where shame is. Suffering is just a step above that. But if you think about gratitude, or you think about love, or you think about joy or laughter, that lets you know where you need to be. So when we're clutching onto our suffering and feeling like we need to cry, and that our crying will somehow take care of the children who are starving or the children who need to be supported, it is not our crying that does that. It's not our suffering out of what we think is compassion that we need to cry for someone. It's that we need to get together and think about how we can change it. So there is a difference there, and it's all a framework of our mental understanding. It doesn't matter where on the world what we want to affect is. It just matters that we want to affect it, and that we're willing to discipline ourselves so that our integrity is enough to send that integritous thought to all of that wiggly aggression. So it's this idea of deciding. Once we decide, then everything else works. Calling for the highest possible vibration, doing Ho'oponopono, saying I protect my mind against invaders. You know, all of these things work, but we have to tighten up all of the space under the door and in between the cracks by recognizing we have been cultivated to be weak. We have been cultivated to not be able to look at the ice cream and not eat it. We've been cultivated where the croissant got us.
He's like, damn, again. I made about 3 or 4 of the croissants.
And didn't even notice. I didn't,
Right.
I wasn't.
Just so melts in your mouth, shelling those croissants. Dangerous.
The idea would be to find a way to have the most expansive, delicious, wonderful love affair with your person, your food, your life as possible, but not let it be led by social media, not let it be led by Netflix, not let it be led by what our parents were taught and their parents were taught that didn't work for them. You know, I always wonder, didn't you notice it didn't work for your grandparents? You know, they wasn't happy. They were, they did not end up well. So we need to make up our minds. We can make the better world if we take the responsibility. We are able to do that. We are enough. We were born enough. If you are on earth right now, you are enough. Now, you may not choose to stay here. You may not choose to take up the mantle. You may not choose to march into victory with me, but I'm telling you, you're enough if you want it. And so, all that's really needed is your deciding and then tightening up all of the areas of your inconsistency. If your inconsistency has to do with food, if it has to do with lying, if it has to do with sex, if it has to do with drugs, tighten up your inconsistency. If you're unwilling to let go of any of those things, that's the measure of how much space there is that things can get in. If you have an addiction, you do not have the willpower to do anything. The addiction stills your willpower. And you're like, well, I only smoke every day. Then only every day is when it won't work. It's true.
I know. It's funny though, hearing you say it.
So those are the ways that's
Yeah, this is wonderful. This is so extensive. Let me pull up my mental notes here. So one of the first things you spoke on was I'm gonna generalize it. This idea of acceptance of where we find ourselves, acceptance that we live in a world that is constantly attempting to hijack and plant thoughts into us, and that we have been cultivated to be weak. I like that you use that language, and this is not to feel guilty. This is not to shame yourself, which
we're all in the same boat here.
Yeah, you even alluded to the idea of how when we feel that way about someone, like someone suffering, and we feel like, oh, I'm going to suffer with them, that's not helpful.
No.
So we're not saying feel guilty.
That's not helpful.
But this is more so, okay, I'm in acceptance and I'm not deluded, because I see people, delusion is a hell of a drug. I see people around here deluded, thinking like, I can listen to this, I can do this habit, I can do this thing and still elevate, and you're missing the point in the context of reality.
No, I can be on drugs and still be a spiritual master, only in your own mind, not in the reality of being able to show someone congruency, integrity, discipline.
Yes.
And the ability to change their experience through their own direct power. We all know this to be true.
Yeah.
Because we all know people in varying levels of addiction. And we all have been in it, including myself. We've all been in varying levels of addiction. And so we know that we didn't have the willpower to not be addicted until we decided to not be addicted.
Which that was the second thing, decide.
Yes.
Decide. And you are often speaking about how powerful decision is. Sometimes people want this, give me the stone, give me the spiritual technique, give me, let me wait and check the astrology charts for the cycles to happen to get the, the celestial energy. No, your decision is even more powerful than all of that. And when you would tell me about this concept, I see things from a geometric perspective. That's the lens of my reality. And I could see how when decision is made, all your energy and your life force is in the field itself is moving coherently in that direction, not where it's like jerky, laggy, staticky. I'm going this way and I'm going that way, and there's no forward motion. But the decision in and of itself is enough to inform the field to create a new trajectory. And really, I can see where it's the decision that supports us. It like lifts us and carries us.
It is so true. This is why I grew up in a house where every time anybody walked in the room, they turned on the television to make sure they weren't making any decisions, but that they were doing and participating in whatever the nonsense or the delusion or the illusion was on the television. So they never focused enough to develop and their own power to manifest the things they wanted to manifest, because they were always subconsciously being programmed by the radio or the television. Yeah. So it has been done quite purposely, quite on purpose and by design to keep us from deciding. How do we decide when we keep seeing Chick-fil-A ads, and when we don't want it, it's full of MSG and they're calling it Unami, but it's a psychotropic drug. It's in the bun, it's in the French fries, it's in the burger, and we eat it, and the lines are around the block because everybody wants, nobody realizes they're addicted to the psychotropic drug that's in the Chick-fil-A, that's on their website, by the way. That says it on their website.
Yeah.
And people are like, and then they're sending them apps like, look at this. So there's all of that going on, and people are unconscious, like taking my children there because they have cows on the billboard. They give little cows away, and they have psychotropic drugs in the food, and it's not like they're hiding it. If you read their website, you will see it. But we are so inundated that how do we expect the children to have the clarity to be able to make it through their classes at school without them giving them more drugs or shots? I have to pull back.
Yeah, you turned up.
Yeah.
Don't turn down though. Don't turn down. The people love it. The chat is lit up. You all are having. I just want to give a shout out to Malia, Why Not, Shauna or Shayna. Excuse the pronunciation. You all are turned up. Julianne's in there. Stacy's in there. Lauren. We see you all. There's Truth. Mario's up in there. Just going at it and making commentary within them amongst themselves.
Good.
And as to what you're sharing. But this other
You have
piece,
found your tribe. You found your tribe. You're in the right place. Talk to each other. Develop a love and respect for each other. We may need each other. Don't lose each other. Things are coming.
So I'll speak on this very briefly and pivot. The food piece is very important and integral. We're talking about psychic infiltration, and it is happening through food. It is happening through chemicals. It affects our neurons, our nervous system. And again, just one of the many ways that we can, decide. And then so that third part was the actual practices. And you listed several different things that people can do. I saw Malia, she commented saying, I just started doing a Ho'oponopono the other night. We're going to post a Ho'oponopono video up soon, but there's also several Ho'oponopono videos that we have that are uploaded, so definitely check them out. Really good content, but this practice, it's been around with ever since I met LaOta, which was 13 plus years ago. She gave me that to save myself. It's like, here, take this prescription of Pono for 3 hours a day. This will correct your circumstance. And it did. And it made me a believer, not a believer, a knower. But again, having practices that are cleaning and clearing to remove the programming, the data that's continuing to broadcast, not only from this lifetime, the things that we inherited from our lineage, the things that are coming in from our previous incarnations. This is, again, a way that we can be assertive and not so wet noodle passive regarding fortifying the subconscious and what enters our conscious mind.
I want to mention what you've just said is so relevant. Once we have already been programmed, now we must reprogram the subconscious mind. That requires persistence and diligence. We have something called the 21-day transmutation. It takes generally 21 days to reprogram the subconscious mind. The method that I got that from was I learned something 40 years ago that this is what they were using for people who were heroin addicts. They would reprogram their mind by using this simple technique of a calendar, and they would no longer be addicted at the end of 21 days. I have used it myself with my own problematic behavior, and it has rid me of it. If the person actually does it in the right spirit, the subconscious mind will be reprogrammed. Then you're not working against yourself. When you try to change something and you have been programmed to eat or think or believe a certain way, then it's going to take time. And there is this level of having to be kind and gentle with yourself, giving yourself the time while you can do it. I see people who I give them Ho'oponopono, and I say, do an hour a day, and they do 3 minutes and they think it was an hour because they're so fragmented. And so I'm like, okay, you have to set alarms for every 5 minutes. And every time you hear that alarm, you have to start over.
Delusion's a hell of a drug.
Yes. However, this is the condition we have been put in. This is the condition that we have not done this to ourselves, but we have not done anything to stop it being done to ourselves. We are here to say, don't allow yourself to go any further, not one step further into the programming that is designed to end you. Find out who you are. You don't even know who you are under all those addictions. You don't even know who you are underneath all of the programming about sex and gender. And you don't know who you are because you have been fed things that are less than divine about yourself. Whatever your choices are, your choices, and we respect them. But you need to give yourself an opportunity to choose.
I think that would be a really good next podcast. Like, who
Yes.
are you? Who are you really? And I know it's a little unique, but in the greater scheme of things, that's something that has helped me personally. And even in this mode right now, I was having a moment this morning, like calling to integrate that greater aspect of me to embody the truth of who I am. Because whoever the heck I think I am is just a pale comparison to the greater truth.
Well, let's
And
not mess around with it. I know I am a biophotonic being, and I know you are a biophotonic being too. I encourage you, let's get our biophotonic beings together
that's
and
right.
be the light.
Activate that solar tech.
Yes, let's be the light.
Yes. And so before we go, again, the chat is lit up. People are lit up. Visit the Other Sun website. Many of these practices are on the evolutionary practice page. You go to the top tabs, you'll see meditation and mindfulness. Click that drop down menu, you'll see evolutionary practices. There are several PDFs of different things you can do in the morning, different things you can do at night. All of these practices are a mixture of frequency based practices. Lao-Tzu speaks a lot about cultivating and becoming the frequency. You know, instead of externalizing, waiting on something to change, you change. And these practices help you do that real time, where it's not just limited to your meditation in the morning. You sprinkle this throughout your day. When something does trigger you and you feel yourself rocky vibrationally, you decide to go into joy, decide to go into the highest possible vibration to reclaim your power and your sovereignty. And this again goes in tandem with the psychic infiltration and the solution, because you were saying how you can shift your frequency real time to pop yourself into an elevation where the negative thoughts that may be internal or something that's projected to you cannot enter due to vibrational resonance or the lack thereof.
But you must first know that the programming, that crying is not the way to get there, that feeling sorry and being guilty is not the way to get there, that those are low frequencies. We somehow feel like those are things that we should hold and be virtuous. That is not the case. Being godly is virtuous. Being happy is virtuous. Being joyful is virtuous. And being joyful in the face of whatever is happening, knowing that it is part of the divine plan, is appropriate. And if you don't, you will hear voices that support the frequency that you keep engaging. You engage sadness, unhappiness, you engage guilt and feeling like you don't deserve something. You get that double. You get it. You are encouraged to think a few moments a day of the thing that makes you smile. If you have, if you want to watch Netflix, watch things that make you laugh out loud. Be the happiness, be the joy that you want to imprint upon the earth. If you continue to be the sadness, the sorrow, the depression, and the unhappiness, you imprint your own material, and then you destroy self, and then you have added to the pot that destroys us all. Not because you wanted to, not because you encouraged it, but because we've all been programmed and cultivated to be less than we are. And it is incumbent upon us to rail against it. Like, no, back up off me, sadness. I'm going to laugh. Ha ha ha. You know?
No, that's real. It's again going back to what you said. It was so eloquently built upon, where the decision is such a major key in everything. Where I see that the 21-day transmutation, that won't work if you have not decided.
Right.
Talking to the sadness and saying, no, we're not doing that today. I'd rather go up higher. That still requires decision. So decision feels like such a key
It is.
component in any level of transmutation
Anything.
within our experience.
Yeah, once you decide, you have the power and the force of all of the laws and principles of creation behind you.
It's wild.
You don't have that behind you when you're sad and depressed, because that's not the laws and principles of creation. That's man-made stuff.
I, ah, my gosh, we got to wrap up soon, but my mind is going into the space of how problematic indecisiveness
Oh
is,
my goodness.
and how that's also weaponized, where you just don't know and you just in limbo. And
And what does it really mean? When you can't decide, when you just don't know, that's fear. Things you hear, it's in the word, it's what you hear, makes you fearful. There's no progress in that level of frequency. That is the level of frequency that paralyzes progress. That is the level of frequency that keeps you always worried about the thing that's far off. Well, what if in the future? What if they come? What if it happens? What's happening right now? You know, somebody's putting a gun to your head right now. If not, then think a better thought.
that part,
And even if they are, think a better thought.
yeah,
You know, so it's the indecision is always doubt, and doubt is always fear. Always. Because the answer through divinity comes quickly. When we teach calibration, it comes right away, you know, right away. You
yep,
ask the question before it's out of your mouth or out of your mind or completed, the answer is there because the truth comes quickly.
yes,
You have to fight with the doubt, like the struggle with it. Like, I want it to be this, but it's saying that. It's saying I shouldn't do this, but I want to do it. So now I can't hear
mm-hmm.
what's going on.
Haven't decided to be the truth.
And it's okay if you're not decided, but it's important to be able to recognize I'm choosing to not do it.
So that's different. That's like you're congruent with being out of order. And you've taught me that. And then, by the way, this is a disclaimer. This is not to justify no type of low level behavior. So don't say T said. It's okay. You have shared that it's better to be in harmony with the wrongdoing than to feel guilty,
Oh
because
my
it has
goodness,
a
yes.
heavier weight to
Right.
it.
You want to go drink something, do something, and you ask your guidance and they say don't do it, and you go do it anyway. You have at least decided. You have taken the power. You are in power and in control of your own outcome.
Yeah.
You are the one in charge. That means the one in charge can choose another thing.
There we go. So decision is still playing out in our favor. Damn, decision is powerful.
It is
It is
it is
it is a
everything.
interesting undertow.
It is really everything that we decide whether we decide or not. If you don't decide, we say this all the time as relates to truth. If you're not, if you don't stand up against it, you consent to it. This is how darkness comes into you. You're not necessarily confronted like, hey, I want to come into your life. It's more like it just comes on in because it doesn't have anything to stop it.
Mm.
It's like a slithering snake just sliding on into your life because you haven't put any anti-snake things at the door.
Yeah, no firewall protection, none of
Yeah.
that. It's just
Yeah. So it's so important to decide. You decide you're going to live an uplifting life. You decide you're going to be an upright person. You decide that you're going to have a better next life than this life. You decide that you're going to make this life better for you than it has
hell
been,
yeah.
and better for those who you imprint and have things to contribute to them. But if you don't decide, I don't know what's going to come through the door.
Any and everything that can, due to the lack of boundaries. So just a little heads up for you all. Energetic protection and defense class. This is a great class that assists with fortifying yourself, spiritually protecting yourself. LaOta has these Call for the Truth divination cards, and one of the cards that is it's kind of a theme, so to say, for the class is you protect yourself by knowing who you are. Know who you are. And so, you know, today in this discussion, LaOta has really given us this insight of you are the deluxe package. You are a frequency being. You are a mental broadcasting, receiving transmitter. You are technology. You are light itself. What are you allowing to enter into you? Where's the levels of indecisiveness within our experience? And I could feel this speaking to the souls of people on the line, like, dang, I haven't decided about that thing yet, or may you take or may you gain what there was to be gained in this conversation, especially on the decision factor, because the more as we began to expound on it, it was hitting me. I'm like, damn, people don't talk about decision like this in the spiritual community. They're talking about all these other fluffy, whimsical things, but your decision influences everything.
It is not complicated to be better, but it is, you do need to practice it to become subconscious, to become programmed into your subconscious. It's not complicated, but it is important, just like brushing your teeth or just like your personal hygiene, your thought hygiene is important. It doesn't mean that you have to do the big things you think. The big things will automatically happen the more integrated your purpose is,
Yeah.
and with your thought to be elevated.
Yeah.
You know, when you decide, even if you decide, I'm not going to be contaminated, I'm not going to sleep with nobody who contaminates me, I'm not going to eat anything that contaminates me, I'm not going to do any of those, I'm not going to listen to contamination, that's huge.
Yeah.
Because
And,
it encompasses everything.
Exponential. It ripples
Yeah,
out,
yes.
and it also creates these boundaries. Remember, as you were saying, what will slither in? I don't know what's going to slither in, but I know with something like that, that is truly fortifying on many different fronts.
Yes, because people will share with you all the time how you are nothing. They will tell you how you
Yeah.
are nothing because of your gender, your race, your age. They will, and if you have not decided otherwise, they, you know,
I am somebody.
or you know, the what is to be gained, you may have that.
Yes.
I shall not accept that. May you have that.
That's right.
And this is the way the universe teaches people: never be the aggressor, but never accept being beaten. You know, take the stick out of the person's hand who's telling you you're nothing. And what you do with it, I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
Hey, look,
Take the stick out of their
we're
hand.
not turning the other cheek over here. Self-preservation. Bop, 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 bop. And but with high frequency though, light can be weaponized. We did a podcast talking about this. We were talking about this in Light Body, of how your light can demagnetize or repel and push something up off of you. It's not always like a punch to the throat or where you have to abuse somebody, but again, this principle of high frequency can keep some stuff off of you.
For sure.
That might, and it might feel like a bop, bop, bop upside the head.
Well, I mean, how it
for
feels,
somebody who's running up on that light.
How it feels is of no concern.
It is a subjective experience for the one who wishes to.
How it feels to the one who gets it back is like not my concern.
Not my problem. Oh my gosh. Okay, so there's so much activity. We want to thank you all for joining us in the live stream. It's a lot of activity going on. Just as a little recap for you all, these live streams happen every Thursday at 12 noon. Go back into our archive. We got a bunch of different live streams that we've been doing over time. On Saturdays, we do high frequency living, which is, I mean, this is conversational. We're having fun, but there's also deep teachings. But that Saturday talk is really dealing with family and children and the human experience. And you get to hear these very rich stories from LaOta, stories that I have heard that they come out differently in that setting. And so it's even intriguing for me, and I've been around you for over a decade. So we encourage you, check that out. Also visit the site. If you're interested in working with us and you're like, look, I like them. Those are my people. I resonate. I want to be of the sun too. You are the sun. You know, we need that. It's just more so remembering who and what you are. Book a free self-discovery call with us.
Right.
You know, and we can share with you the different classes that are available, the different services, because you know, it's not a one-size-fits-all, but we got pretty much something for everyone. Whether you're looking to learn how to clear yourself energetically, protect yourself, somebody wanted to learn how to read or speak to the trees and the flowers, LaOta's having a one mind reconnection class to be part of the universal mind, to speak to the consciousness of all things. That's happening next month. So there's a lot just book yourself a free consult to see where to start with us.
I
Yes,
would
Emma?
encourage everyone who is falling in love with us as we are falling in love with you, that one way that you can show that is to share so that we can gain and grow our community wherever you are. We are not separated by land masses. We are not separated by time of day. We are not separated by any of the things that you think mountains or volcanoes or hurricanes. We are not separate. You are encouraged to join on, and your contribution could be that you inspire someone else who's like minded. We encourage you to work with those who are like minded and don't go to the most recalcitrant person that you can find and try to share this with them because it probably won't land. We're looking for those who are looking for us.
That part.
We're looking for those, and if you are looking for us, we're so glad you found us. Thank you so much. We would give you the greetings of Inlakesh and Veritas with honor, respect, and gratitude. Thank you all.
Because Veritas, everyone. We'll see you next time.